In discussing Rust Valley Restorers through the thematic lens suggested by the title A Little Help from My Friends, one begins to see that the series operates not simply as a show about reviving classic cars, but as a richly layered exploration of community, human imperfection, and the profoundly emotional connection individuals form with objects that carry memory and history. At first glance, the show appears to center on restorations, engines, paint jobs, and the ever-present battle against rust. Yet through closer viewing, it becomes evident that its primary subject is the resilient bond between people who choose to work alongside one another despite financial stress, conflicting personalities, and the relentless unpredictability that defines automotive projects. This becomes clearer when examining interactions that unfold across various episodes in which Michael Hall, the heart of Rust Valley, reveals a kind of stubborn optimism that would collapse without the steadying support of his crew, most notably Avery Schoaf and Mike's son Connor. Their dynamic often functions as a fascinating tension point. Avery brings a chaotic humor and improvisational spirit that offsets Mike's tendency toward worry, while Connor serves as the practical balancing force that steers the business toward survival even when the numbers look bleak. Scenes where Mike stands over a half-disassembled car, thinking out loud about whether the project is worth finishing, highlight the psychological weight of restoration. And in those moments, the presence of his friends becomes not simply helpful, but essential. They serve as emotional anchors, preventing his passion from crumbling under pressure. The title under which we analyze the show suggests cooperation, but in reality, the series demonstrates something deeper. The idea that friendship can be the very engine that keeps a dream running even when circumstances suggest the wiser choice would be giving up entirely. This theme emerges in dozens of small scenes, such as Avery's unprompted decision to help Mike track down old parts, Connor's firm reminders about budgets, or moments when the entire crew gathers around an engine block, trying to puzzle through a mechanical problem that has shaken their confidence. When these scenes are placed together, they form a mosaic of resilience that speaks to viewers because it mirrors experiences many people encounter in their own lives, where the support of friends is what transforms an overwhelming task into something achievable. As the show progresses, the physical landscape of Rust Valley also becomes a character in its own right, reinforcing the idea that environment influences people's emotional responses. The valley's rugged mountains, harsh winters, and vast scrapyards evoke isolation, but also opportunity, functioning almost like a metaphor for the crew's emotional state, intimidating yet full of potential. The valley challenges them with weather that damages metal and deadlines that tighten with every storm, yet also rewards them with moments of beauty and quiet triumph when a long-dead engine finally growls back to life. A personal anecdote that resonates with the show involves my own experience restoring a vintage motorcycle with a friend during a winter that refused to end. The cold kept seizing our tools, bolts snapped unexpectedly, and parts arrived weeks late, yet the act of working together turned difficulty into camaraderie. Watching Rust Valley Restorers often evokes that memory because the way Mike and Avery argue, laugh, and ultimately cooperate reflects how real restoration projects unfold, where the mechanical and emotional challenges weave into one another until they become inseparable. This blending of personal struggle and automotive work becomes exceptionally visible in scenes where clients arrive with cars that hold sentimental value, vehicles inherited from family members, cars once used during important life events, or machines that symbolize aspirations the owners had shelved for years. These stories pull Mike and his team into the emotional history of the vehicles, compelling them to treat each restoration as a form of tribute rather than a business transaction. Through these moments, the show highlights a compelling paradox. While Rust Valley Restorers showcases the technical craft of auto body repair and mechanical engineering, it consistently elevates emotional storytelling as the central force driving each project. The camera lingers not only on bolts, chrome, and welding sparks, but on the faces of the team as they react to setbacks, celebrate breakthroughs, and replay stories that motivate their work. This focus on emotion represents a striking shift from other automotive reality series, which place greater emphasis on competition or drama. By contrast, Rust Valley Restorers emphasizes cooperation and authenticity, presenting a group of people who genuinely care about each other and about the cars they restore. This authenticity allows the show to resonate with viewers who may not know the difference between a carburetor and a camshaft, but who understand loyalty, perseverance, and passion. One particularly revealing pattern is the way Mike often takes on projects that common sense tells him to decline. These moments highlight his internal conflict between practicality and passion, a tension that he manages only because his friends rally around him. It becomes evident that the decisions which threaten the shop's financial stability are often made from a place of compassion or nostalgia. And although the viewer may question his reasoning, Avery and Connor usually find ways to transform those risks into collaborative problem-solving. Their dynamic not only saves cars, but also sustains Mike's identity as a dreamer and collector. The theme "A Little Help from My Friends" manifests strongly in scenes where the team must improvise. For instance, chaotic moments in which Avery suggests an unconventional repair method and Connor counters with more disciplined logic show that their contrasting personalities create balance rather than conflict. Mike frequently stands between them like a fulcrum, listening, weighing options, and ultimately blending their ideas into a workable plan. This balance mirrors real-life situations where differing skill sets within a group lead to innovation that no single individual could achieve. The show captures how collaboration transforms obstacles into solutions, making even the most daunting tasks feel accomplishable. Furthermore, Rust Valley Restorers delves into themes of legacy and identity. Mike's vast collection of decaying cars represents not only his passion, but also his fear of loss, his desire to preserve history, and his struggle with the passage of time. Restoration becomes a metaphor for confronting the impermanence of life and the inevitability of change. His friends, by working beside him, help mitigate these anxieties, grounding him in shared purpose. In episodes where Mike contemplates selling his collection or stepping back from the business, it becomes evident that he's wrestling not simply with financial decisions, but with questions of aging, purpose, and self-worth. His friends play an instrumental role in guiding him through these dilemmas, offering both practical advice and emotional reassurance. This reinforces the broader message that friendship is not merely supportive but transformative, shaping a person's sense of direction and identity. The show also presents a nuanced understanding of masculinity. The group engages in banter, arguments, and humor, yet they also express vulnerability, disappointment, and affection. Their willingness to rely on one another, admit mistakes, and openly celebrate each other's successes presents a version of masculinity rooted in emotional intelligence. In this way, Rust Valley Restorers subtly challenges outdated stereotypes by showing that toughness and emotional openness are not mutually exclusive. Another point worthy of analysis is how the series uses pacing to emphasize the unpredictability of restoration work. Slow moments where the camera lingers on rusted metal or pitted chrome highlight the sheer difficulty of reversing time's damage, while faster sequences of grinding, welding, and painting capture the exhilaration that accompanies progress. This blend of slow contemplation and energetic movement parallels the emotional rhythm of the characters themselves, who oscillate between hope and frustration. The viewer becomes immersed in this rhythm, experiencing the satisfaction of each breakthrough alongside the team. The authenticity of Rust Valley Restorers is reinforced through the visible imperfections of the workspace. Tools are scattered, deadlines are missed, and repairs sometimes require starting from scratch. Instead of presenting a flawless environment, the show embraces messiness, both literal and emotional. This approach makes the series more relatable because it mirrors the reality of any ambitious project where setbacks are inevitable. The theme "A Little Help from My Friends" surfaces again in these imperfections, as each setback becomes an opportunity for collaboration and reassurance. Moments of levity often punctuate the show's more serious themes, creating a sense of balance. Avery's humor, whether intentional or accidental, often defuses tension at critical points. His personality contrasts with Mike's intensity, and together they create a dynamic that feels authentic and deeply human. These comedic moments prevent the show from becoming overly heavy, reminding viewers that joy and frustration often coexist during creative endeavors. From a broader cultural perspective, Rust Valley Restorers taps into a universal longing for preservation in a world that favors disposability. This desire manifests not only in automotive restoration, but in personal relationships, traditions, and memories. The show's celebration of old machines becomes symbolic of a larger resistance to forgetting, reinforcing the idea that some things are worth saving even when the world moves too quickly. Through this lens, the theme "A Little Help from My Friends" becomes even more poignant, suggesting that shared effort is essential not only for restoring cars, but for holding on to what matters. Rust Valley Restorers succeeds because it integrates layers of mechanical expertise, emotional storytelling, human vulnerability, and environmental character into a cohesive narrative. It challenges viewers to see restoration not as a technical process, but as a deeply personal journey. When Mike and his team bring an old car back to life, they revive not only metal and paint, but memories, aspirations, and stories that resonate across generations. This emotional resonance is amplified by their friendships, which ground the show's action in genuine human connection. Through this analysis, the title "A Little Help from My Friends" becomes an apt summary of the show's central message: that restoration, whether of machines or of people, is a collaborative act that grows from trust, resilience, and shared passion. Rust Valley Restorers ultimately serves as a testament to what people can accomplish together when friendship becomes the driving force behind every wrench turned, every panel sanded, and every engine revived.